Now, Central Oregon's local alert weather with Eric Oren.
Good morning, folks. Let's start with a look at those conditions out there on the roads this morning for your commutes. As you can see, many of the areas we're looking at here are above that freezing threshold, but it is possible to see some freezing temperatures out there, which could mean slick roads. As you can see, Sisters below that freezing line. At the moment, Redmond below as well. As you can see here, most of the roads looking fairly clear. We did see quite a bit of melting yesterday, and temperatures will be fairly mild again today, so we can expect more of that to be occurring. Let's take a look at conditions in Redmond right now at Evergreen 97. You can see here wet roads, and as I mentioned to you, they're below freezing at this point, so that could potentially mean black ice out there. Visibility okay currently, but we are under a fog advisory, so there is a possibility for some fog and freezing fog where areas are still below freezing before sunrise. Let's take a look at some weather headlines for you. We talked about that possible fog, and we're going to keep looking at the cameras and checking on visibility in the area for you. A mostly clear day ahead once this resolves, though, as we do see temperatures up in the 40s, and that should create more melting ice and snow, and that could cause puddles on area roadways and, of course, potential possibility for some excess runoff as we see things continuing to melt here today. Let's take a look at current temperatures, give us an idea of what we might be expecting out there. As I mentioned to you, in the areas below freezing like Prineville, Redmond, and Sisters, the patches of fog out there could potentially be freezing fog, and that could lead to accumulations of ice. In addition to that limited visibility, that can be very hazardous. Here's a look at the area affected by the dense fog advisory, and this is due to a visibility of a quarter mile or less in some areas, and it's going to be lasting until about noon here. We'll keep you posted if it does get extended. This is creating very hazardous conditions out there on the morning commute. And you can see on the visibility map here, there's a fairly dense pocket of lacking visibility here in the area and along the Cascades here, and it's going to continue to fluctuate this morning. We'll keep our eyes on that for you. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. We are expecting possibility for some rain early, possibly for some mountain snow until possibly midday, although in the lower elevations we are going to end up mostly dry. Let's take a look at our future track here. I mentioned here early today, there's a chance we're going to get some very light precipitation early. This is until around 7 a.m. And then we're looking at mostly cloud cover and staying pretty clear in the area, and that's all the way until tonight. And then as we see around midnight, you can see some activity returning to the area. That's looking like mostly rain, possibility for some snow in the lower elevations as well, and then mostly in the mountains there, that's where that blue is concentrated, and lasting into the early morning hours, getting a little bit more intense. So there is going to be some overnight precipitation into the early morning, and based on those temperatures overnight, which should be pretty chilly, it's a little hard to tell exactly when rain versus snow will be falling, but we will keep our eyes on that for you. Here's a look at your forecast highs for the day. We're in the 30s and mostly the 40s, as you can see here. Sun River is the coolest there in 37-degree range, but the rest of us looking fairly warm or mild, and we expect there to be continued melting out there on the roadways. Some lows for you. I mentioned to you tonight, going to get sort of chilly again down into the freezing area, so the precipitation overnight could take the form of mixed precipitation, even possibly some snow, and we'll keep our eyes on that. Let's take a look at our 7-day forecast here. We see a bit more activity through the midweek here. I mentioned a little bit overnight into tomorrow. And then as we reach the end of this week, we see a chance for some freezing rain early Friday morning. And then over the weekend, those temperatures will be climbing up to almost the 50-degree range early next week. Looks like we'll even break that mark. Of course, that's been a look at your local alert weather.